I'm still figuring out how to like get more people involved in that because yeah, that's the big disconnect that I'm still trying to figure out.
Well, let's talk
Like
about it.
how
What
well
is
look,
the
I
big
know
disconnect you're trying to figure out is how to get more people involved specifically in what?
like this divestment, like BDS shit, like not just for Palestine, but like all this problematic stuff. Because the only thing that really changes anything that we can really do, because like yeah, we can vote for Republicans, which is far right, or we can vote for Democrat, which is also a right leaning party.
Mhm.
And there's no difference between Republicans and Democrats when it comes to foreign policy. They quibble, they fight over like drag queens reading to kids, but they still pass the same war packages, the same war money for like our allies overseas. So the theory of a uniparty system when it comes to foreign policy is something I personally believe in. But how do we get more people involved? Well, that's a tough one because like yeah, I know my people, and it's going to take some time. People are looking at Gaza and being like, we're 5 months in. How are you still not on board? But because we're so involved in it, we don't realize that most people, they paid attention for the first week, and now they're like back going to shows and like checking, my zodiac, whatever those types of people do.
Yeah.
I don't even know anymore. So
I
that's
mean,
that's what the majority of the country is doing.
if you don't have like a connective tissue to it, you can go through life without knowing about any of this going on. I mean, that's
Yeah.
really the nature of our media system, right? Like they just decide
Mhm.
when things matter, when things don't. I mean, I'm in the middle of reading manufacturing consent, and my mind is blown every day by just the realization that our media is censorship just on a mindfuck level, because we've been thinking like they'll tell you like, oh no, we have it's free media, like we have free press, and in other places they don't, and it's like, well, no, they don't, but we don't either, because our press is controlled, and when you break out of that space they shut you down. So that is not the same thing. It's actually a very effective form of censorship, because it makes everybody feel like we have freedom, when it's really like you're being fed a bunch of crap. But I feel like there's um a silence that has happened around Pakistan, around Palestine, for people who are not necessarily tapped in. I mean, you're not hearing about Palestine on your nightly news. I mean, even me
No.
doing radio, I do radio every day. I have to actively insert it into my show, and to the chagrin of the advertisers. But
Some people.
yeah,
Yeah.
but like I have to do it. And some days it may be a whole story, but some days it has to just be, me making my little quips. And the people who are listening, I mean, I've had people say, like, you talk about Palestine every day. Yes. And I will, because y'all need
Yeah.
to
I
understand.
mean, yeah. Yeah, because I mean, it lies at the intersection of so many of our problems. Um, it's a manifestation of a level of imperialism and violent colonialism that again I studied in college. I was like, oh, that was back in the 1800s. No, I was actually shocked. I'm completely shocked. I knew the response was going to be bad because I had access to certain information in the military about like the 2006 Lebanon war. Like U.S. military knows they got their ass kicked when the IDF went into Lebanon. They got spanked big time by Hezbollah. And I also know that they had a brutal apartheid regime and that their counterinsurgency tactics were not effective because we send them U.S. advisors, and the U.S. advisors look at what they're doing in West Bank and Gaza and be like, all right, well, you just got a whole new round of whole new generation of insurgents that you're not going to get rid of. So I already had a pretty dim view of the Israeli military. But the fact that we support them so blindly. It just really goes to show you, takes the mask off of all the propaganda that we've been fed in the post 9/11 world, and the Cold War propaganda that we were fed to by our parents, and kind of makes you question the whole system, especially. And I think if we're going to circle back to the whole like activism thing, one thing that the Vietnam activists were good at was integrating multiple fronts. As I said, they had like the civil rights, they had the anti-war vets, they had like the love child hippies, who were basically, their only purpose was to do ridiculous stunts to manipulate the media. But like, fine, let them, do their thing over there. And I think communication between like not just movements within the United States, but also movements within other countries. I was just talking to some like an Indian activist, and she was like, "Well, we can learn from each other, because like what doesn't work in India might work there, and what doesn't work in the United States might work there." So we have the ability to easily communicate globally, and these are all connected, because what's happening in India since October 7th, the amount of Islamophobia in India has skyrocketed. Like the BJP,
it was already bonkers.
Oh yeah. I moved back from India like a year and a half ago, and it's already gotten so much worse. So,
what the fuck were you doing in India?
Oh my God, it's a whole freaking story. It's like, I was going through some shit. I was like, I'll go to India and like work like write for a nonprofit. I mean, I was supposed to be writing a book, but I just ended up going out every night in Goa for like way too long. So, but it's a learning experience. Yeah, I'm back. I'm still alive. I made it. So yeah, it's already so much worse, and it's just being in. And what we're able to realize is that this rise in global national fascism is a phenomenon that's just happening right now. It's like it's like everywhere, and it's getting worse. And so,
if you look at, and it's in places that I think people aren't even paying attention to. Like Argentina just got their own Trump. The Netherlands, who was just, by the way, in Israel, like crying when he out, and she's like, "You're not Jewish." The Netherlands has their own version of Trump. Like they all have the same like comb over hair. It's actually kind of bizarre. But then you have like the woman who's running shit in Italy, and she's definitely down with the fascism. And I think what you're saying, though, is an answer to the question that you were asking. One of the biggest differences is, like you said, okay, so one of the things you said was one of the effective ways that the Vietnam anti-war activists were one of the ways that they were effective was in connecting movements. And one of the ways that we have, one of the things that we have that they didn't have, is a way to be globally connected without phone cards and without long distance, which is a real thing. Some of y'all are too young to understand long distance, but long distance was a real thing. And it was like, I can't call you. I don't have long distance. Like, I just don't have it. Whereas now you can WhatsApp, and you can, we used to Skype and all that. So like the connectivity is global. And I really honestly feel like one of the things that America has been very effective at doing is making Americans feel like they don't have a global connection. I mean, there's a real myopia that has been put upon us that really makes us have not only American exceptionalism, but American blinders. And we like really are, a lot of us are like from other places, but a lot of Americans are really only thinking about America.